A tense political game is playing out within President Tinubu's ruling APC party between the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, and the leadership of the APC. And as they pick ever more fights, any moderating influence seems to have been thrown out the window, replaced by seismic levels of divergence as the schism widens into deeper fractiousness. Despite denials, insiders will tell you that it's a time of extraordinary turbulence, and it doesn't look like it's getting any less so as the 2027 general elections approach. So far, Malam El-Rufai, by the sheer propelling force of his character, appears to have defied all the challenges that have been thrown his way. But as both sides push the boundaries, can they still find a political sweet spot between them? Or has Malam El-Rufai become too much of an enemy within, blowing up any chance of that happening? I'll be joined in the studio by the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, in the first interview he's granted to any news organization since he left public office in May 2023. Plus, for an assessment, we have our guest commentator, a leading thinker who will bring his depth and breadth of analysis to the big issues of the day. I'm Charles Enyegolu, and this is Arise Prime Time. Now, he's one of Nigeria's best-known politicians, having recently served 2 terms as governor of Kaduna State and previously as minister of the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja, as well as director of the Bureau of Public Enterprises. He's also a co-founding member of the ruling APC party and was once a Tinubu Uber loyalist. But now Nasir El-Rufai is a man in the spotlight for different reasons. Ever since he was nominated for a ministerial position by President Tinubu, but was rejected by the National Assembly, the relationship appears to have gone south. He's been at loggerheads with the APC political machine, denouncing it recently in a searing rebuke for failing to meet in the last 2 years, alleging that it lacked internal democracy under President Tinubu. The APC hit back, accusing the former governor, who once held President Tinubu aloft in the 2023 general election, of plotting against Mr. Tinubu's re-election in 2027. It suggested that Mr. El-Rufai's high expectation had turned into immense frustration over his failure to secure that ministerial appointment. And as the clash resounded ever more harshly, Malam El-Rufai said he no longer recognized the APC. Lately, he's been engaging with the opposition, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the PDP and the Social Democratic Party. So, are we now seeing a possible political realignment ahead of the next presidential election cycle? Well, for more on this, I'm suitably delighted to say that the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, joins me now in the studio in the first interview he's granted to any news organization since he left public office in May 2023. Thank you very much indeed for choosing Arise as the place that you would do that interview.
Thank you, Charles.
The last time we met was in the same studio, almost 2 years ago, when you were my guest on this program. So let me start by wishing you a happy new year and a very happy birthday, which you marked recently.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And let me start with a simple opening question, because you said when you were last here, and at the time Bola Tinubu was a presidential candidate, that you were solidly backing his candidacy, and you held him aloft during the election and worked hard to secure his victory. And for the first couple of months of his presidency, you appeared to still give him unqualified support. Have the tables turned since then? Is your solidarity and support still to be counted on?
It's a difficult question to answer, Charles. I am a founding member of the APC, and I'm still a member of the APC. but I have concerns about how the party is being run or not being run at all, and I've expressed those concerns. I've expressed those concerns because I feel that, like a father who has given birth to a child, I know the investment and efforts and the compromises we had to strike to create what is now known as the APC, and how many people sacrificed a lot to ensure that it was an internally democratic party with progressive ideals. And 2 years after the election of President Tinubu, none of the party organs is functioning. The progressive ideals, in my view, are not being pursued with any vigor. And the very high expectations we had of the president to take this country to the next level based on his track record in Lagos is somehow not materializing. So I have no issues with the Tinubu administration. People say I'm a critic of the administration. I've never said a word about the Tinubu administration. My comment in a panel on democracy in Nigeria had to do with the APC. I've never, since I left office and the president begged me publicly to come and serve in his government, I had my plans, and I told President Tinubu from day one when he asked me to support him, I said I would, but I don't want anything, okay? Because politics in Nigeria is always about what do I get for giving you support. I'm not in politics for that reason. I'm not in politics to get anything. I have a surname, I'm a self-made man, I have made my money before coming into public office. I don't need anything. After 8 years in Kaduna, I was nearly burnt out. I was struggling for 8 years, and I wanted to take a break, and I had my private plans. The president publicly appealed to me to put my plans on hold, and through 2 months of negotiation, we finally agreed that he would nominate me as minister, and there were certain conditions I attached to that. I think along the line, either the president changed his mind or something else, because please don't believe the story that the National Assembly rejected me. The National Assembly had nothing to do with this. The president didn't want me in his cabinet. He changed his mind. Whatever it is, frankly, I don't care. And I told him, and I moved on. And since I moved on, I've not said a word. I've not granted any interview. I've not commented on the government. But it is within my rights as a founding member of the APC, as one of the 34 people that signed the INEC form that got the party registered. It is within my rights to ask, why is my party not functioning?
Indeed.
And that's all. And so, you know, I don't know if I've answered your question, but...
Well, to some extent you have, but I'm going to press you a little bit more on that, because you suggested that there was, I mean, the impression that we all had was that you were nominated for a ministerial position, but that under serious scrutiny from the National Assembly, you failed to make the grade for security reasons. But you're saying that that was not what turned the tide of your support, that failure to win affirmation in the Senate. You're saying that the president decided that you were no longer going to be in his cabinet.
I believe that. I believe he changed his mind.
What makes you believe that?
What security? What was the security issue? I have been a governor for 8 years in one of the most difficult states in the country. Okay? I have been minister 20 years earlier. I've been in public life in the last 25, 26 years. What is the security issue? Where is the report? What about other ministers far less qualified, far less experienced, with huge controversies around them that scaled through because the president made a call? So please leave that aside. I don't want to focus too much on that.
Right.
The president is a human being. He is entitled to change his mind. And it's not an issue. And it is a job I didn't want in the first place. So the slightest opportunity I had, the security thing was a good thing for me because it enabled me to say, Mr. President, I'm gone. And I went on with my life. Now, since then, has anyone released that report? What is the security issue? What is this? What is that? Leave that. The only reason why I'm talking about this, Charles, is because anytime I make any comment about how the party is running or not running, or I visit a friend of mine, Tinubu's hacks go on, oh, it's because he didn't get a ministerial nomination. Guys, I was minister 20 years ago, all right, in my 40s, and I told Tinubu I did not want to be minister. I was not interested. He appealed to me, begged me, and gave me a challenge. What was the challenge? Nobody has sorted out electricity. No president has defeated the electricity mafia. You and I can work to defeat it. It was the challenge that made me accept. All right? Now, I had an opportunity to serve my country, and the person that gave me the opportunity changed his mind. It's okay. And I've moved on with my life.
But I mean, have you encountered him subsequently? Have you met him? Have you, both of you, since that time?
We have met.
Did it ever come up in your discussion?
We have met, and we have met a couple of times. But, you know, we have met at Baba Akande's birthday anniversary last year, and the president asked me to come and see him. I met him once, we discussed, and, you know, let's find ways. I said, Mr. President, I don't have any problem. I'm fine.
But when you say, what did
good.
he say to you?
He said, you know, we still have to find a way to work together. I said, I'm waiting. You know, you tell me how we can work together, but I want to assure you, as I told you even before the elections, I am fine. I have a private life which predates politics, and I'm pursuing my life. Look at me. Do I look like I'm stressed? I have put on weight. I sleep better. I don't have to read security reports about bandit attacks here, or, you know, I am at peace.
But I mean, would you say that even though you are at peace, as you have suggested, that you've become estranged from the government of the day?
Look, Charles, I'm not a permanent government person. The first 38 years of my life I was in the private sector, okay? I came into government quite accidentally, and I have never wanted to be in government forever, okay? When I finished my work as Minister of FCT, I told late Umar Eradua I did not want any job, because I wanted to go and complete my law degree in the UK and go to Harvard Kennedy School. I got admission many years before it lapsed. I wanted to go and finish that MPA. I always plan my life outside of government.
But
for me, being in government is just an interregnum, an opportunity to serve,
yes. Which is fine,
yeah.
And based on
but
that,
not to be there permanently.
No, I understand what you mean, but based on that, you must have expected, and in fact many expected you to play a prominent role in Tinubu's administration, because you helped to deliver that position to him, and he wanted people like you, from what you've said, coalescing around him to give him the kind of support that would make his administration successful. And people are wondering whether, you know, beyond the ministerial position, whether there was a different rift that might have been simmering that we don't know about.
Well, look, first of all, let me correct that. I believe that the purpose of politics is to serve, and politics is a vocation. You know, politics is not a career, okay? So you go in, you serve, you go back to your life. People without an address, people without a profession, people without means of livelihood should not be in politics, in my view. So I have always looked at politics as, you know, a process through which leaders get thrown up, and when I get an opportunity, I go, I do my best, I show an example, I build other people that will replace me, and I move out. So the assumption that once you contribute to the success of a political party or a candidate, must lead to a payback through an appointment is misplaced.
Right.
Not all of us are interested in a government job, and I told Tinubu that. But Tinubu insisted, and I said, gave me a challenge, and I honestly thought, as you proposed, that he would want to get people like us to help him succeed. But you know, that didn't work out. It's fine. I'm back in my life, and I'm okay. And there is no, to the best of my knowledge, there is no other rift. Okay?
Well, let me put it another way. You're known to be a reformer? I mean, you were in the Bureau of Public Enterprises, you reformed so many things, you were the Minister of Abuja, you had this transformative influence that everybody recognizes in this city. I mean, you went ahead to Kaduna State. I suppose the jury is still out on how that went.
Have you been to Kaduna?
Not recently.
The jury was concled
Okay,
2 years ago. But go to Kaduna. Don't listen to those.
I will. Yeah. I certainly will. But I mean, the thrust of my question is that you are known to be a reformer.
Yes.
As I mentioned, over the years. Are you supporting President Tinubu's reforms?
Look, I don't want to pass any judgment or make any opinion about the government, because anything I say can be interpreted as a criticism.
Well, you either support it or you don't support it.
No. I support some of the policies.
Right. Which ones?
Most of the economic policies are the right orthodox policies, okay? But the sequencing is wrong. The quality of the people implementing the reforms leaves much to be desired. And I think that some of the reforms are just wrong. You know, you don't address food inflation by destroying domestic agriculture through importation, for instance. Food prices may be going down, but farmers are being impoverished because they are being made to compete with subsidized agricultural products from Europe and other countries. So I have issues with many of them, and I'm in touch with many senior officials of the administration, and I give them my opinion privately. But I don't want to go beyond that, because tomorrow they will say, oh, it's because he was not minister. Guys, I was minister 20 years ago. I'm beyond that. Okay.
And indeed, the president recognized your contribution to this country when he sent you a birthday message, which I understand was very flattering.
It was nice.
Were you flattered by it?
No, I wasn't flattered. I actually complained to Bayo Onanuga when I saw him. I said, why did you mess up my birthday? He said, why? I said, all my enemies...
How do you mean mess up your birthday?
Well, by issuing that message, all my enemies that were celebrating that no one would recognize my birthday compared to when I was governor, were made to be unhappy. Some were compelled to send me birthday greetings because the president sent birthday greetings and recognized that I contributed to the formation of APC as well as success in 3 presidential elections. And we joked about it. But yeah, it was kind of the president, but it hurt my enemies more than it made me happier.
And of course, I don't know how much you hurt, because you, as you correctly pointed out, you were one of the founding members of the APC. I mean, recently you said the APC was originally established to combat corruption, rebuild the Nigerian economy, and enhance security. But you were quite clear that along the way, those goals have been abandoned. The APC, as I mentioned, is of course your party, so one presumes that you have the inside track on what's gone wrong and how it has come to this.
I don't know what has gone wrong. All I know is that a political party functions through internal democracy. When the organs of the party meet, okay, they give feedback to the government as to how it is doing, how it is aligning its output and efforts with the manifesto of the party. That's the purpose of having National Executive Committee meeting, which the APC Constitution requires must take place at least once a quarter. That's the purpose of having National Caucus, so that other non-members of NEC, but experienced, former governors, former this and that, will come and give their views, what they are hearing on the street about the effectiveness of government policies vis-a-vis the promises the party made. In 2 years, the party has not met. So no one, to the best of my knowledge, no one has any inside track on what has gone wrong. In the last few months, I've been visiting the former national chairman of APC. I went to see Baba Akonde. I asked him the same question. I saw Adams Oshomole. I visited Chief John Oyegun. Yesterday, I went to Kefi to meet with Abdullahi Adamu. I am asking the same question. What is happening to our party? What has gone wrong? And nobody can say anything because the party has not met for 2 years. There has been no conversation about the alignment of government policies with the progressive values of the party. No conversation at all. I'm happy to learn through the grapevine that the party is finally going to have a national caucus meeting and NEC meeting. And I hope that will be discussed. The question you are asking should be asked in those two fora. And let's find out why has the party forgotten its founding values?
But of course, you, in spite of all that, I mean, clearly you sound deeply frustrated. Anybody who's watching you now can see that. You have said that you have no intention of leaving the APC, but you wanted it to change. I mean, and you're not seeing any signs of that change.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't say I have no intention of leaving the APC. I said that the APC is my party. I founded it.
Well, you did say that you didn't intend to leave. You said when you leave,
at that time,
you will retire, and that's it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't join any of it.
At that time, yes. But now, I'm not leaving the APC, Charles. The APC has left me. We founded that party based on certain values. The party has left, okay? I am stranded. I'm standing. The APC is there. I'm here. So, to be very accurate, I'm not leaving the APC. The APC has already left me.
Right. Having left you,
yes.
What happens next?
Well, I'm not ready to retire from politics.
Right. So you're shopping around.
So sooner or later, you know, I may have to find another platform to pursue those progressive values that I believe in. If I can't find them in the APC, I hope that the APC will meet and correct its journey, and then maybe some of us can look at it again. But for now, there are many of us that cannot recognize the party. It is not what we worked hard to create.
And all this has nothing to do with your own personal ambition, political ambition. Because I mean, to be a politician, you've got to have an ambition, don't you?
No, you don't. You don't need to have an ambition.
I mean, a politician like yourself, I mean, you've had several ambitions, and you've fulfilled those ambitions.
Actually, I've never had an ambition in politics. So
you didn't want to be governor of Kaduna State?
I didn't want to be governor. Look, President Buhari, and you can ask him anytime, more or less forced me to run for governor of Kaduna State. I was afraid of running because I've never run for office. I am a worker, Charles. People go and run for office, and they have a difficult assignment, and they get people like me who get it done. Myself, Ngozi, Obi, we are not people that will stand on a podium and tell people to vote for us. We are not like that. That's not our training. That's not our inclination. But after we formed the APC, and I was in the National Executive Committee, I was Deputy National Secretary, and we are preparing for the 2015 elections, President Buhari called me and said, go and run for governor. I said, no, sir. I'm not, I don't have those skill sets. My skill sets are technocratic. He said, no, go. We had 3 conversations before I accepted.
And now that you've run, you've been bitten by the bug, have you?
Well, I've been bitten by the bug in 2 respects. I will remain in politics for life, all right? But that does not mean I will be contesting elections or something. Yeah, I will remain in politics because I believe that I have to influence what happens in our party so that we have better quality candidates and governance. That's all. So I'm 65. I'm not yet ready to retire in politics. I intend to remain in politics. So sooner or later, if APC doesn't sort itself out and come back to those progressive values that I stand for and where I'm standing, I will find another platform that has similar values and move on.
Well, talking about the possibility of another platform, I mean, more recently you've been seen in the company of top opposition figures. You've been reported to be in some sort of political discussion with them. I mean, could you sort of enlighten us as to what is going on there. No plans to join the PDP or the SDP or any other party? Discussions
Well,
underway, possibly?
Okay. First of all, I think it should be clear that the fact that I'm in the APC doesn't mean that I cannot visit a friend of mine who is in the PDP or SDP, okay? So anytime I visit anyone that is not APC, say, oh, he's thinking of leaving the party. In fact, about 2 months ago, one character in Kaduna posted on his Facebook page that I've collected PDP membership card in my ward. It was totally untrue. When I visited my brother and friend Shehu Gabam at the SDP headquarters, oh, he has joined the SDP. Again, not true. I don't know where I will end up if the APC doesn't come back to where we started. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that PDP is not a party that I will go to, ever. Okay?
Right.
I have thought about that. I've decided that long ago, and nothing has changed. In fact, if anything, PDP has gotten worse.
Right.
So I can tell you, rule out PDP. I met with PDP leadership in Kaduna a couple of days ago. The state leadership of the party came to see me, and I will meet with them. Look, I'm a public figure in my state and at my age, and based on the responsibilities I have held, I am a leader of some sort. And if people say they want to see me, I'm not going to say you're PDP, I won't see you, or you're SDP, or I'll only meet with APC people. It is my duty to meet with everyone. It's my duty to guide and mentor young people across partisan divides. So I meet with people, but the moment I meet with anyone, everything is reduced to politics. But PDP, no. Other parties, possibly, if the APC doesn't sort itself out.
But I mean, some people have suggested that you have the potential to run for president of this country, given your, credentials and the things that you've done. I mean, are any of these meetings, can we call them political consultations, that you're sort of sounding people out?
No. Look, what started all this? Okay, first of all, let me say this. Anyone above the age of 35 with a secondary school certificate is qualified to run for president, okay? So in that sense, I'm qualified, right? But have I started talking to anybody about running for any office? No. I've never discussed that with anyone.
Okay.
Never.
Please stay with us, because we're going to take a short break. You're watching Arise Prime Time. Plenty more still ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Charles Anyegolu, and I'm enormously delighted to say that the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, is still with me in the studio. It's the first interview he's granted to any news organization since he left public office in May 2023, and it's great to be here with you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this. As a member of the APC National Caucus, you are a member of that National Caucus.
Yes.
I mean, will you be attending tomorrow's meeting at the presidential villa?
Unfortunately, I will not be, because I will be on my way. I'll be in the plane back to Cairo, where I spend most of my time. I didn't get adequate notice. The constitution of our party requires 21 days, I think, or 14 days notice for this kind of national organ meetings. I don't think that notice has been given. If it has been, I have not received the invitation 2 weeks to 3 weeks ago. So I have my plans, and I'm leaving tomorrow. But many of my friends will attend, so I will not miss anything. I will get to know what was discussed.
But I would imagine that your contribution, given the kind of criticism, if you like, that you've leveled against the party, I mean, that your contribution would be valuable, and you'd be chomping at the bit to attend that meeting.
Yeah, but not, I'm a private citizen, not at this kind of inconvenience. Ramadan is starting. I came back to do a few things, and I'm going back. I have made plans to go to Saudi Arabia on Wednesday. I'm not not changing my plans. When the party meets, whether I'm there or not, I think we have shouted loudly enough for the leadership, if they care, to do something about it, and we'll wait and see whether they do something about it. I don't have to be there. I'm not the only member of the party that is unhappy. I was just the one that was given the opportunity to say something in a panel, which I was not even supposed to be a member of the panel, but somebody didn't show up, and I was drafted, and I made my comments. And I always say my mind, and when it comes to my country and my party, I take no prisoners.
Well, as you can see, those comments that you were drafted in have gone viral. And one of those comments was when you talked about the problem of poor leadership in Nigeria. Yeah. You said it's rooted in the leadership recruitment process. In other words, in your assessment, most of the delegates who select the leadership are illiterate and therefore unqualified. Yeah. As I'm sure you know, it's been burning up the internet. Yeah. Your critics have suggested that it's the same delegates that you're now criticizing who were responsible for electing you into office, and that you wooed the same delegates to help elect President Tinubu into office. And why, I mean, they're wondering why you're reacting this way now.
Yeah, look, there is a political culture in Nigeria that tends to reject educated, sophisticated, enlightened people. That's what I was complaining about. Now, if my critics say that those are the same delegates, they are wrong. Because in Kaduna, when we set up the APC, we went out of our way to have better quality people, more educated people, and that's why the APC in Kaduna functioned reasonably well.
Yeah, but you can't have, in any party, you can't have literate people.
No.
I mean, you know, party is a party with different people.
Membership is different. Anyone can be a member of a party, but the leadership of a party requires certain qualifications and an appreciation of what you are there for, okay? And we tried to do that a little better in Kaduna. Now, it's a political culture that has started from the 60s.
Right.
So it cannot be eradicated overnight. But when we are searching for solutions, we must be honest enough to recognize problems, even if we benefited from those problems. Because I am not doing this. I'm not in politics for myself. I'm accomplished. I am grateful to God for His grace. Right. Okay? But I have children. I now have 3 grandchildren. So it is in my best interest, my enlightened self-interest, to ensure that what I have seen or even benefited that is not in the public interest, in the long-term interest of this country, I voice it out so that we begin to correct.
Well, you say, and you've said this repeatedly, that you're not in politics for yourself.
Yeah.
Would you be in politics beyond the Nigerian public? Would you be in politics for someone else? Because, I mean, in 2023, you were in politics for President Tinubu. You supported him. Obviously, I mean, you were governor of Kaduna State, but I mean, you supported his presidential bid. Yeah. And I'm wondering whether this time around in 2027, obviously your support is, I would imagine, quite valuable. I mean,
they don't think so.
Would you support Atiku Abubakar, for instance, for president in 2027? Or would you retain your support for President Tinubu's second term?
Okay, let me correct some of your assumptions.
Right.
In 2023, the 2023 election cycle, personally, I can tell you, I was indifferent about candidates. Okay? I was indifferent who became the presidential candidate of the APC. What I was determined will not happen is for a northerner to emerge as the presidential candidate of the APC, based on the understanding that I know we had in 2013 when we formed the APC, that after 8 years of Buhari's rule, power will go to the south. I was on holiday in Dubai when I realized that this was what was going on. Some elements around the president wanted a northerner to succeed the president. I came back. Governor Zulum called me and said, this is what is happening. I came back. We worked together as northern governors to truncate that. That was the only thing that I cared about in the 2023 election cycle. In the APC, it must be a Southerner. Now, who the Southerners give us is up to the Southerners, all right? That was my position. Now, when President Tinubu emerged as the candidate of my party, he now became the candidate of my party, and I am duty-bound to do my best to ensure he's elected. For me, the hierarchy of commitment is God, country, party.
Yeah, but he's president now, and he's going for a second term, probably.
He's
Would
going
you support him in 2027?
I don't know. I will evaluate the situation at the time, and I will consult widely, because it's not, when I supported President Tinubu before the primaries, it was a decision that we took, the leaders of the APC took in Kaduna. Who would we support? Okay, we've succeeded in ensuring that power goes to the south, okay? And we know that all the northern candidates will go nowhere. Yahya Bello, Ahmed Long, we knew, all right? But among the southerners, who do we support? They know those that are my friends. Tinubu was not my friend. I was never close to him. But the consensus of the APC in Kaduna was that we should support Bola Tinubu because he is the one that is more likely to win. Because politicians make these calculations. All right? And I said, fine. You are the delegates. I was not a delegate. Go and vote for him if that's what you think. But before you do, the night of the convention, I will go and ask President Buhari, who does he want? Because APC Kaduna is Buhari's APC. It's not APC Katsina. Buhari lives more in Kaduna than Katsina. So I went to President Buhari that night. I said, the delegates are waiting for your final word, who to vote for. And he said, Malam, go and tell the Kaduna delegates from me to vote their conscience. And I went, I said, go and vote your conscience. And I left the convention ground. So I want to put things in perspective so that you understand. Now, once Bola Ahmed Tinubu became the candidate of my party, I'm a loyal party man. I care about the party. I'm not, for me, the party is not a platform. It's not something to eat from. It is a commitment to certain values. And I did my best to ensure that President Tinubu won the election. Now, in 2027, I'm going to consult the same people. We're going to take the same decision, which candidate to support and in which party.
But do you think, because you mentioned here that you were obviously driven by certain principles, one of them being that the presidency had to go to the south. Irrespective of who emerged as the person, it had to be a southerner. I mean, by that same token, are you going to support a southern president in 2027?
I cannot say that now.
No, but
okay. No, let me explain.
Following from the logic of your sort of
I'm
argument.
in a different position now.
Right.
In 2023, I was a governor. I was a state governor. And whatever decision we took must reflect the values of Ahmadu Bello, Aminu Kanu, Sakashmi Ibrahim, J.S. Taka, our leaders in the north that had a handshake across the Niger with our southern brothers and built trust. That was the duty imposed on me as a governor. I was not an ordinary person. I was the representative of late Ahmadu Bello, Aminu Kanu, and so on. These were the values we were pursuing. It was not about personal interest. Now I'm a private citizen, okay? Now I'm not sure I will be in the APC in 2027. So I cannot answer that question. As a private citizen, I can afford to be reckless and say, you know what? We gave the Southerners their chance. They gave us Tinubu. Has he done well? If he hasn't done well by 2027, let's vote him out, okay? I would prefer that a Southerner succeeds Tinubu. But at the end of the day, in the party that I would be, whether it is APC or any other party, the calculation has to be who will win. And as I told you earlier, in Kaduna, when we looked at all the southern aspirants, our caucus said, look, Tinubu has the best chance of winning. Our party must win. Whatever the baggage he comes with, let's manage it after we win. It is the same way these decisions are taken. Now, in 2027, I will not be a governor. So I will not have the sort of clout that I had in 2023. But I'm just explaining this so that people understand that in those smoke-filled rooms where these political decisions are taken, hard political mathematics takes place in which you want to win. And the person that wins is the one that you go for. It doesn't matter where he comes from. It's the person that you think will win because your party should win the election. So I cannot answer that question now. It's a question that we'll have to look going forward.
Right. Okay, but let's assess the political temperature in this country from the northern perspective.
Yeah.
We've read many times, we've had people sit where you're sitting from the north, the Northern League, different people from the north who express dissatisfaction with President Tinubu, particularly over appointments. What is your position on that?
I agree with them. I agree with them. I think that President Tinubu's appointments are quite imbalanced. But unlike others that think, oh, the appointments are skewed towards Southwest, no. Please, don't blame the Southwest for what one individual is doing. Okay? As a Northerner and someone that lived half of his life under military rule, we have suffered that. The military takes power, they do things, the head of state is a Northerner, he messes up, every Northerner is blamed. No. Yorubas are very honorable people. Okay? But there's a difference even in Yoruba land between an Omoluabi, okay, who is the ideal Yoruba person with morals and character, and an area boy. Okay? So I want people to stop saying it's Southwest. Look, President Tinubu is appointing his own boys. Not because they are Yoruba, but because they are his own boys. And most of the appointments do not even reasonably cover the Southwest. Okay, so people should stop confusing the two. The appointments are not balanced. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Right.
You cannot argue that. But it's not a Yoruba thing. Please don't punish the Yorubas as you have been punishing Northerners for the sins of the military. Okay? Let's focus on individuals and hold them accountable. President Tinubu needs to do something about that. It's still not too late, he can correct it, but there is palpable anger in the north, and all the people around him, all those telling him that everything is quiet, they cannot go to the north and say vote for APC or vote for Tinubu today. But it's 2 years to the elections, it's not too late to correct things, and he knows. I have passed this message through many of those close to him. I hope they have the guts to tell him.
Right. I mean, you've talked quite a bit about the North in general and Kaduna, your state in particular. What's your profile like there now? I mean, I'm wondering what sort of relationship you have with your successor, Governor Uba Sani.
Look, Uba Sani has been my friend for many, many years, but he is not my friend anymore, because for me, the word friendship is a very important concept. God gave us our relatives. He chose our relatives for us. We have no choice. But thank God we can choose our friends. And for me, a friend is someone that has some fidelity to some ethical and moral standards and will be there for you when you need him, not when there is time to party or enjoy. And I try to live that. Okay, and those that are my friends know that I will be there for them when they need me, and I will rise and defend them. That's what I call friend. Uba Sani is not my friend. Nuribadu is not my friend. They were my friends at some point, but not anymore. Okay. As to what is happening in Kaduna, I don't comment on any job that I walked away from. I left BPE 22 years ago. I only went there to interview the DG for my PhD something, and then they came and interviewed me when they were doing a review of the privatization program. Since I left the FCT, I never went back there until my former classmate in Barewa, Mohammed Bello, became minister and wanted to see me repeatedly, so I decided to drive into his office. I don't comment with what I'm done with, so I won't comment about Kaduna. those that say I am relevant or not relevant in Kaduna, I don't comment on that. Let us wait. In 2027, we will see who is relevant and who is not.
Well, under his watch, Uba Sani, you were accused of massive corruption. To quote them,
Yes.
the State House of Assembly investigated you, recommended that you be fully prosecuted. The lawmakers alleged that hundreds of billions of naira was siphoned off by your administration, money that was simply spirited away, according to them, with no
Yes.
projects to show for it, leaving the state horribly indebted.
Yeah.
He felt it was his responsibility because he's the chief executive of the state, and that, I mean, it's not a matter of friendship, it's about responsibility to the people of,
Yes.
Kaduna State. You
Yes.
denied the charges, calling them a political witch hunt, insisting that you governed with integrity, and you suggest that the motive is to damage your political prospects.
Yes.
Tell us more.
Look, if the State House of Assembly is investigating my administration and they have questions, I think the basic principles of fair hearing require that I am invited. I was never invited. Okay? I have read the report of the State House of Assembly where at the end of the report they said 423 billion was siphoned out. There is nowhere in the report where they tabulated that 427.73 billion from where to where. Money doesn't disappear these days. Money is all electronic. From where did this money move to where? Okay? And the State Assembly recommended that I should be investigated by ICPC and EFCC, blah, blah, blah. I told my guys, calm down. They want us to investigate. We responded and said, this is nonsense. Because the state, Kaduna State, earned about 900 billion in the 8 years I was in office. Now, 45% of that disappearing, I would like to see from where it went. And out of that 900 billion, 500 something billion was salaries and overheads. Okay? So I would really want to see a breakdown where that money was taken from and to where. Now, when we responded and got the report, I told my commissioners, government is big. A lot can happen below your level that you don't know. So let's not say anything. Let's wait and see. The anti-corruption agencies, particularly ICPC, have been inviting our people. They have found nothing since then. Okay? An administration that's supposed to have siphoned away 423 billion, so far, 2 people have been charged. One for 64 million that was paid to his account as reimbursement for something he did for the government. Another for, I think, 115 million that they said he sold government properties and the money didn't get to the account. The money went into the account and they know. Okay? I thought my commissioners or any one of us would be charged for billions. But these are paltry amounts. Now, what's happening in the ICPC? The EFCC has done its investigations and they have not charged anybody because there is nothing, all right? But the ICPC, whose chairman is the brother of a friend of ours called Farouk Adamu Aliyu, who is a very close friend of Nuhu Ribadu, reports to Nuhu Ribadu on this. This project of destroy Nasir El-Rufai is Nuhu Ribadu's conception. He's the architect and he's the builder of that project and he's the one working with Ubasani to implement it. So far, it has been frustrating for them because they have not been able to find anything. In fact, what they have resorted to doing in the last 2 weeks is to be calling lower level people and some of my officials and saying, implicate Nasir El-Rufai and your problems will go away. This is what the ICPC has become. The EFCC is far more professional. They have, done a much better job of it. And now that we have seen that the whole thing is a charade, we are going to start fighting back. Right. Okay? Charles
Very briefly, because we're out of time.
Yeah, you know, I've been in public service for a long time. I was advisor to Abdulsalam Abubakar. I've been DG of BPE. I've been Minister of FCT and Governor of Kaduna State. I swear to you, I swear to God, I have never in my life taken a penny that I'm not entitled to. In fact, in Kaduna State, in my first term of office, because we took a vow along with my late deputy governor that we'll be donating 50% of our salaries and allowances back to the state coffers, I did that. I gave my own entitlements to the government, and I have treasury receipts for that.
Right.
I have never taken a penny of it, but somebody wants to destroy my reputation. Why? Nobody wants to be president in 2031.
Well,
he has to eliminate every northerner that
well,
he thinks is in the radar. That's what's going on.
On that note, I have to say thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us, and also to say that Nuhu Ribadu, members of the APC, have a right of reply if they want to reply to the things you have said here. But it's been an absolute delight having you here. And your forthrightness is always appreciated. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
Nasir El Rufai is the former governor of Kaduna State, and this was the first interview he's granted to any news organization since he left public office in May 2023. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.